The Lost City of Atlantis, rumored to be built out of a series of concentric islands, might have been found. We have some insane news about the newly found whereabouts of this city. The Lost City of Atlantis has been claimed to be found in plain sight. What's going on? Let's jump right into the video to find out more. In addition to the fact that the Lost City of Atlantis really did exist, its true location has lay hidden in plain sight for thousands of years without being discovered. As everyone believes it must be somewhere in the ocean, so we've been looking in the wrong place all this time. Let me astound you with Plato's geographic knowledge of Atlantis. The dialogues Critias and Timaeus by Plato contain knowledge that was originally Egyptian. The structure in Africa known as the Eye of the Sahara is thought to be the most plausible location of Atlantis, according to the information provided by Plato. The legend of Atlantis is merely fictional and is frequently referred to as a myth, at least in the eyes of mainstream academics and historians. This deeply contradicts Plato's words. Let's dig deep into what Atlantis really was. But what's the truth, and why did the city vanish out of nowhere? Atlantis was a technologically advanced empire with noble and advanced people who possessed wealth and luxury, knowledge and power, as well as military superiority. According to Plato and Solon, it was destroyed in a single day and night of misfortune. Plato claims in 360 BC, in a single day and a night of misfortune, the island of Atlantis disappeared into the depths of the sea. Plato learned everything he knew about Atlantis from Solon, a distant relative to him by 6 generations. You must be wondering who Solon is at this point, and how can his ideas lead us to the potential location of the city? Solon was a poet and member of the Athens government. He is best remembered for his efforts to enact legislation to stop the moral, political, and economic decay of ancient Athens. He was born about 2,600 years ago. He had a reputation for being a wise man with a strong moral code. In his later years, Solon came to Egypt in search of knowledge, and at that time, Egypt had the most extensive collection of historical documents. He went to temples where he was taught about the history of Atlantis by Sonkis, a high Egyptian priest. Sonkis explained everything to Solon, including the carvings and stones in the temples. This information implied that Egypt had formerly been a colony of the Atlantis Empire. These temples are no longer in existence because they were long ago demolished and eaten by what is now known as the Nile Delta lands. The knowledge was retained and kept for Plato because of Solon's thorough notes. According to what Solon had learned while in Egypt, the disaster that destroyed the ancient city was said to have taken place 9,000 years previously, which, when you consider that Solon traveled to Egypt 2,600 years ago, is a very fascinating time. 11,600 years before the present day are equal to 9,000 years plus 2,600 years, which happens to be the same time as the Younger Dryas climate catastrophe. Now, if you don't know about the Younger Dryas catastrophe, then let me explain you in short terms. It was an event that took place approximately 11,600 years ago when there were huge climate changes. The global heat was so much that it was compared to more than the fire that caused the extinction of dinosaurs. The point of mentioning this event right now is that there is some kind of connection between the destruction of Atlantis and the Younger Dryas hypothesis, keeping in mind the time frames and the conditions. The main city of Atlantis consists of centric circles of water and land, Plato. Most notably, it was claimed that Atlantis was built from centric circles. Let's compare it to the Risha structure now. The similarity is striking. In 1965, the Risha structure was found. Let's now discuss the structure of the Richat, whose diameter is roughly 23.5 kilometers. Now, 127 stadia are the dimensions Plato gives for Atlantis. If we perform some fundamental calculations and conversions, a stadia is 607 feet tall. When we multiply 127 by 607, we get 77,089 feet. If we convert this number into kilometers, we get a result of 23.49 kilometers, which is absurdly the same as the Richat structure. Mind-blowing, isn't it? Well, this is just not it. If we start comparing more details, I am sure it will blow your mind even more. The next point Plato made is quite intriguing. Plato stated that the mountains of the island of Atlantis was celebrated for their number and size and beauty. Additionally, he added, the surrounding mountains of the city flowed with the rivers, and he told that this part of the island looked toward the south and was sheltered from the north. The mountains are on the north side, and this is exactly what you view at the Richats. Not only that, but you can also see several rivers spilling over the edges of the mountains and heading into Atlantis when you look at the comprehensive satellite pictures. Can you imagine how this location appeared? It was all thanks to Danaus. Atlantis was praised for its beauty, as Plato claimed. Since there are so few images of the view of these mountains, one can only assume that they were lush, lovely, green, and covered in waterfalls. Therefore, it is certain that this area did not always resemble the arid, barren desert that it does today. And this indisputably fits Plato's account. When you read how Plato described that the city of Atlantis opened to water from the south, this argument becomes much more strong. Look at the pictures of Rishat to notice that there is an opening to the south of the building in Rishat. In such a case, Plato's depiction would be accurate if there was previously water here. Additionally, the entire region appears to have been destroyed by a tsunami and water. Also, it is important to note that scientists believe Rishat was extremely eroded due to its round walls. According to Plato, when Atlantis was struck by the earthquake, it became an impassable barrier of mud to voyager sailors from hence to any part of the ocean. In other words, Atlantis became landlocked. Again, if you consider the site of Atlantis, the information given by Plato and Solon, and the possibility that Rishat's structure represented the city of Atlantis, it is not difficult to surmise that perhaps a significant amount of sand or mud was forced into Africa from the ocean during some sort of catastrophic event. Let's not overlook the crucial information Plato referred to when he said that the area surrounding Atlantis was a flat plain that was even. Isn't this Rishat structure's match today? Plato also said that Atlantis was hidden by mountains to the south, facing the north. So isn't it what we see at Rishat when we look around? All of these huge points lead us to the confirmation that the Rishat structure might be the lost city of Atlantis, and is the site that we all have been ignoring for centuries. We must always open our minds to new possibilities. We must consider whether this uncommon terrain feature is natural, or if it could be artificial if Rishat's structure is Atlantis. Is it possible that what we are seeing is an invention of man, or might it be a blend of things? An extremely uncommon land feature that humans altered to serve as a civilization's oasis. Do you want to hear another intriguing detail? According to the Atlantis legend, the island of Atlantis served as the capital of an empire with 10 kingdoms. Poseidon, a Greek god, gave birth to 5 sets of twins. 10 offspring were born, and each of them went on to reign one of the 10 kingdoms. Poseidon is said to have had 5 sets of twins. Does anyone want to guess which region in the world has the greatest rate of twin births per person? Nigeria. Given its proximity to Mauritius geographically and the right structure, that is one noteworthy fact. Therefore, even if we cannot be certain that Atlantis ever existed, and that the Rishat building was its true site, but it strikingly resembles the description from Plato and Solon. Academics believe that the narrative of Atlantis must be fake, as was already mentioned. However, Plato and Solon were respected for their intelligence and virtue, and they were never accused of lying. Remember to subscribe to our channel to get the latest information regarding human civilizations and their interesting history. It's intriguing to consider that such a highly developed civilization may have existed so long ago, and that the story of Atlantis may no longer be just a myth. The discovery of Atlantis has opened up new avenues for research into and understanding our past, as well as a fresh perspective on the talents of our prehistoric predecessors. If you want to learn more about such ancient history, click on the video links on your screens to watch our other videos in a similar domain.